one of the things we've talked about, myself and Al and a couple of the others, is making sure that that's what we have these guys available for. These are not long-term things that we think these guys are going to miss anything. We just want to make sure that they're sharp and ready to roll. We've had a few really good weeks of camp, and we're just trying to be really smart about some things. John Allen's he's just messing with a plantar fasciitis. Nothing serious right there. Andrew was kicked in the calf the other day in practice, and so we want to be careful with that. And so we'll go from there with these guys.
You said John has plantar fasciitis?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any idea for Monday yet, play time?
No.
And if has anybody ruled out?
No, we're going to discuss that tonight as coaching staff. We'll go through all that stuff as to who's going to be available. We'll know that from Al, and then we'll talk about each player's amount of playing time.
What's the biggest area you want to see in terms of growth from after these couple weeks?
Just as a team overall. I wouldn't say just one area in particular. I just want to see everybody continue to grow. You know, we may have had a couple of units play really well. Well, they got to continue to do that consistency. With some that didn't play as well, they got to play better. And we just want to see the continued growth.
How are your conversations going with Josh, and where do things stand?
They've gone well, and they stand in good situation.
Do you expect to start having discussions about potential new contracts, or is that something you want to wait on?
Those are all things that are all part of our discussion, Sam. You know, and again, these are things that we talk about, we're working into. There's a lot to do, and so to assume anything's going to happen immediately is unfair, because they are still learning and understanding us, and we're still talking with them and trying to get things lined up and in order.
So what are your near-term priorities, or what are you learning from those conversations about what they want to do right now?
Is just continue to go forward with this football team.
You guys have had a more intense training camp. I mean, what is the plan going into the season? Do you guys have like a ramp down, a taper down period, or will you go hard?
Well, I mean, traditionally, Nick, you guys have seen it every year. The last preseason game really is kind of that. That's kind of what it is for us. Is that we spend more time just preparing our starters, our primary guys for the start of the regular season. We get our young guys, the guys that we've got to see more from. They'll start focusing on that last preseason game, getting them ready for Cincinnati, and then we just go from there with the team. Once we play that game, we establish the team, and then they've got the week off, which we'll continue to do our work in terms of preparing for Arizona.
And then for somebody like Logan, who's missed some time, how much time does he need on the field before he's ready to get back out there?
The biggest thing with Logan is going to be more about conditioning than anything else. He's been doing what he can as far as trying to keep himself conditioned. He's been working in the weight room with the strength conditioning guys as well. He's sharp. He's already up to speed on what we're doing offensively. And then, once we get him back on the field, it'll be about getting his timing with the rest of the guys on the offense, and especially with the quarterback too.
Now, you mentioned paying attention to Andre Jones. I was wondering if there's any other players or position groups over the last two preseason games here that you have kind of that extra eye on as the battles unfold.
There's quite a number of them. As you look at all the guys that are out there, especially the backups who are going to be the primary backups, there's a lot of these guys that have really caught our eye. I mean, on the offensive line, there's a few guys that we really want to pay a little bit more attention to as well. They'll get a few more opportunities in the next two games. That'll be really cool to really just watch them and see where their development and growth has come from as far as once we got started in OTAs and mini camps to where we are now.
And this is very random, but you being a Cal guy, what do you think about them potentially joining the ACC and what's happened to the Pac-12?
I'm really disappointed what happened to the Pac-12, just because that's one of the oldest conferences in the nation, and one of the first ones too, for that matter. There's a tremendous legacy that's been built by a lot of guys. My concern is that West Coast football has lost its prominence in the NCAA. And all the primary West Coast teams that really helped to bring a lot of that prominence have left, and have left a lot of people high and dry and stranded. And I'm disappointed in that because of the legacy that's going to really disappear. That to me is a tragedy. I mean, can you imagine the outrage would be if something like that were ever to happen to an SEC or an ACC or something like that. I mean, these are long-standing traditional conferences that that served a purpose. And when you start taking the primary focus of West Coast football out, I mean, that's, to me, that's terrible. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, is that just money driving it then, or
I'm sorry?
Is that just money driving it then, or?
Well, there's a lot of things driving it, but obviously, money is one of the primary reasons. I mean, let's be honest, because the Big Ten knew what they were doing. They wanted to get the two marquees out of the West Coast, or at least one of the marquees out of the West Coast, and now they have a West Coast audience to a degree, but it's not the same as when you have your Pac-12 and you've got all up and down the West Coast watching. You're gonna get the LA market for the most part, is all you're gonna get, and then they'll go from there.
I'm sure each coach over here.
Okay.
Each year's different, I'm sure, but do you set, EB was talking about he has goals or dates in mind where you want to be at a certain time. Did you do that for this camp, and are you where you guys want to be, especially offensively, 2 days after the joint practices, right before the second preseason game?
To me, the joint practices was really one of my measuring sticks, not just for the quarterback position, but for us as a whole. And to see where we have gotten to, based off of that, I'm pleased with it. I really am. I'm very happy about it. In fact, it's just now we've got to be able to maintain it. All these little nagging injuries that you see these guys have. Now it's time to get past those and start gearing these guys up. I wish the list we have of guys right now, I hope they all are able to play on Monday night, because it'd be good for everybody to get a shot, get one last bit of work, and then start preparing the primary players, our starters, start getting them ready for the opening of the regular season. So it's going to be real interesting to see how things unfold the next 2 or days, next 1 or 2 days, as to who's going to be available for us on Monday night.
Coach, hi. I wanted to ask you a quick question about naming Sam as the starter, and just what the joy it was for you to tell people that they're starting, as well as the joy that Sam maybe experienced when you informed him of that.
Well, I mean, it is cool when you're able to tell the player something like that. But at the end of the day, it's really just as far as what we've been working towards. I mean, that's kind of the cool part about it, because we kind of had some parameters. We had some benchmarks that had to be reached, and as we went through OTAs, mini camps, and right into training camp, and the preseason game and the joint practices, he accomplished what we were looking for, and that was important, because, as I said, it was for him to lose. He did nothing that told us he wasn't ready. And again, it's not a knock on what Jacoby didn't do. It's just Sam did the things that we needed to see that would have him be our starter. So I'm excited about it. Sam has really grown a lot, and there's still room to grow. And that's the best part, that there's not a ceiling right now. We'll see how good he can become, but we're going to have to take it one day at a time, one game at a time. And right now it's about getting him ready to play and face Baltimore, and then we'll go from there. But it is exciting. It's exciting for us as a football team, and I think it's exciting for our fan base. All right, thank you guys. What is it?